Hi, I'm Reverend Julia Jarvis, and I'm the spiritual director for the Interfaith Families Project in the greater DC area.
And I'm Sue Katz Miller. I'm a blogger. I write the blog onbeingboth.com, and also I blog for the Huffington Post about interfaith identity. I'm an interfaith child myself. My father's Jewish, my mother's Christian. They chose Judaism for us and raised us as Jews. For my children, I've chosen to raise them with both religions, educating them about both religions. And we do that in a group called the Interfaith Families Project.
Which I'm the spiritual director of and have been there for about 10 years on and off. This is a community that started about 15 years ago with 4 mothers in the Tacoma Park, DC area. And they discovered at their prenatal class at the YMCA that they were all interfaith and interfaith marriages. And they each decided, were curious about how they were going to raise their children in this interfaith world. And they just together decided they wanted to raise their kids in both traditions. So they hired a Jewish tutor, a Christian tutor, and rented some space in this building at Tacoma Park Presbyterian Church and started the Interfaith Families Project. And we now, after 15, 16 years, have over 122 families. 144 children are in our Sunday school. We created our own interfaith curriculum. We like to say that we point the finger to the North Star with our children. We don't give them answers. We have them wonder about both traditions. We're obviously very progressive, and we also have an adult group for our adults where we teach about both Christianity and Judaism. I have a colleague, Rabbi Harold White, who's been with us for the last 7 years and was the first Jewish chaplain hired at a Catholic university, and he's been at Georgetown for 44 years. There's lots more that I could say about this community. We are, unlike other Protestant churches, and I think synagogues too, I could safely say we are thriving. We are not dying. We're doing very well, and we grow exponentially every year. So it's very exciting to be a part of this community. We do believe, our community believes, that we can raise our children in both traditions and celebrate not only what we have in common, but to learn about our differences. So I think that's what I'll say about our community, and let you talk a little bit, Sue.
Well, and our community is unusual, but it's not unique. We are part of a loose network of communities like this around the country now. Interfaith families have been looking for this pathway, and when they don't find it, they tend to come together and create it. So there are groups with interfaith Sunday school programs in New York, in Boston, in Denver. There's been one in California. And we're speaking with each other. But when my family came to the Interfaith Families Project, my kids were 3 and 6, and now they're teenagers. So they've grown up in this movement, in this community, and that's very powerful for me because when I was growing up, we always felt sort of on the margin in a Jewish context. We knew we were interfaith. We always wondered, did everybody accept us? Some people didn't. There were different definitions about who could be a Jew, who couldn't be a Jew. And I had a very strong background from being raised in that Jewish context with a Jewish identity, in Jewish knowledge and learning, and I've benefited from all of that. But there were also drawbacks in terms of feeling on the margins. And for my own children, I really wanted them to feel like they were in the center of a community. And that's what this kind of community gives them, because all of the other kids in their Sunday school classes, in the community, are interfaith kids just like them. So
I think we could talk a little bit about our interfaithness. What we've discovered is that Rabbi Harold White, our rabbi, who's been at Georgetown and has learned a lot from the Jesuits about Christianity, and he has discovered in his many years there that there's so many connections between obvious connections between Judaism and Christianity, and that so much of what Christianity is comes from Judaism. And so what we're doing as we develop our curriculum, and our curriculum is for ages 3 through coming of age 13 years old, and then we have a teen group that's thriving also. But what we're doing is we're going back into the curriculum and further developing it by showing the connections between how Christianity developed out of Judaism. So that's been very exciting for us, and I think we're probably one of the few groups in the United States, in the world, that's really doing this. So there's a lot more education we have to do, not only for our kids, but for our adults. It's amazing that how many adults don't know a lot about not only their spouse's tradition, but their own tradition. So
the symbol of our group is the interlocking rings. It's like a Venn diagram, and what we do is emphasize all three of those spaces. We have the common space, the things that the two religions have in common and their intertwined history. And that's really important, especially for interfaith children, because that's the space where all of them is represented. But we also educate them in the spaces that are on the outsides that are specific to Judaism, specific to Christianity. We don't only focus on the common ground, because often people accuse us of that, or say, well, it's not all watered down.
We're creating our own religion, so people say that.
People will say that. That's not right. We're very specifically going as deep as we can into each of the two religions, giving them as much depth and authenticity as we can, while also recognizing that there is that shared space, which if you're in a single faith context, you often don't even hear about that common history. Right. People are afraid to talk about the other religion. And our feeling is, as interfaith families, we have to talk about the other religion and the overlapping spaces and the differences.
And I would say that one of my predecessors and successor, a United Church of Christ minister, was the minister to this group for a while, and she said she wished every Christian minister could be in an interfaith arena so that they can learn a lot about Judaism, which for her, it informed her Christianity. And I totally concur with that. What I have learned about Judaism has so enriched my life and my journey as a Christian. So it's been and continues to be a very rich place for us all to be. And our children, we just had a coming of age ceremony with 9 of our coming of agers, and what the big questions that they wrestled with and how they appreciated their own interfaithness was very much alive and real and present. So we were all very impressed with them.